Hello. Hello.
Good evening, sir.
How una dey?
We are fine, sir. Thank God.
You came late. You were doing lalale Friday.
Sir.
Ah. You know now, Friday is your tummy time now. You don't know.
Hey.
Okay. So how far?
Fortunately, I just finished.
How has your week
I'm
been?
well. Hectic.
Hectic as usual. I can imagine.
Hectic week.
I can imagine. Okay.
Well.
We have Madam in class. Madam Olubumi, how market? Madam Olubumi. Madam Olubumi. Like say, this madam, she dey book space new. She no dey class. Madam Olubumi. Uh-oh. Okay. No other. So, Madam Oluwaseyi, I think you conclude that now only you are on.
It's still early. I'm sure they will still join.
I'm low. Can you see the processes? Can you see the task under the new lesson you want to start today?
Starting the project.
These things are highly tenacious. What Kenugo? They are tenacious. So the uninteresting thing about these things, for someone who has not done the training before,
yes,
you can hardly discuss these things without having to go back to all those our normal knowledge area to now pick multiple processes together. For example, plan and manage school. It's not one process there, like 3 processes lower under plan and manage school. You will start from plan. You can't discuss scope without first of all telling them about collect requirements. You can't discuss scope without telling them about collect requirements, define scope. Then you talk about WBS.
Ben.
So, for example, look at schedule. Schedule will take us back to those days of forward pass, backward pass.
Oh, girl.
Yes.
Don't remind me.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. In my previous class, because everybody in class was a past student, I was able to move very fast in this area. I just said, you know it already. Let's move on. You know? But in this one, I cannot try it. You know?
Go.
In this one, I cannot try it. Madam Olubumi, are you with us now? It's not interesting now. Where's everybody? Let me call some. Mr. Jani is supposed to be in class. Mama the Delicate is supposed to be in class. Not okay. Finally, Mama the Delicate is in class. So it's Mr. Jani that is left now. Anyway, Madam Oluwaseyi, since you are the only one that has worked to come, let me just proceed with you. So welcome everybody that is present in body and soul and spirit. So let's proceed with our class. So far, so good.
I'm here.
Late comer. Yeah, rename yourself to Muhammad Adeleke, not Ayo Malik. We don't know who Ayo Malik is.
Okay.
So far, so good. We've been able to successfully complete the first lesson. Madam Oluwaseyi, what is the first lesson?
Creating a high-performing team.
So solid. How many of the tasks under it do you remember?
Ah. So in no particular order, last week we talked about train team
No
members.
particular order. No particular order.
So saying, okay, build a team. We talked about setting ground rules.
Yes.
We talked about negotiating project agreements.
Correct. Shared
understanding. Training team members and stakeholders.
Correct.
Then
empower team members, engage and support virtual teams.
Supporting virtual teams.
Yes, idea is neat. All right. Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. Mr. Muhammad, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I thought you said you were there.
I'm here, Oga.
Okay. Last class, we finished a lesson. What is the name of the lesson we finished?
The name of the lesson we finished.
Yes, what is the name of the lesson we finished?
Okay. Engage and support virtual teams.
Is that the name of the lesson? That is interesting.
No, that is the topic, but the lesson is creating.
I asked you for the name of lesson.
Creating a high-performing team.
Beautiful. Okay, so under that lesson, which of the topics or tasks do you remember?
I can remember the concept of build a team, then vividly ground rules, because I like that aspect very well. In fact, I now have a ground rule in my office.
Interesting.
Then negotiate project agreement. I can remember some aspect of it. Then these empower team members and stakeholders, I got that aspect very well. Then team members and stakeholders, it's also part of what was talked about. Then engage and support virtual teams. We talked around this a lot during the last session, so it's still fresh in my brain. Then build shared understanding about the project is the last aspect of the lesson.
Okay. Your something is too smooth. It was obvious you were reading it from somewhere.
Yes, I was reading it from somewhere as a tennis guy.
Oh, no matter, Angel. I was expecting you to at least. It's good. Anyway, no wahala. Mr. Toya,
of course, I did form and say it was on my head. So I was playing to the team, which is part of the virtual team stuff.
Transparency and accountability. There.
Yes.
You see and talk every. Okay, so today, Madam Olubumi, are you with us? This is going to be like the 6th time I will call your name.
Good evening, sir. I'm with you, sir.
What's the proof that you are with me?
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Good evening,
I'm with
Ma.
you, sir.
You came to class first and you did not respond throughout.
Sorry, I stepped out. I just returned.
Oh, you stepped out. Okay, so you
I
remember
had
those
to
days
attend
you know, that kind of thing.
No.
You know?
No.
You know now, those days, Try let me connect and let me show face there. I'm there, but I'm not there. You know that kind of way.
No, not at all, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
You promised us in the last class
No,
that
sir.
you're going to watch the video for what you missed. Have you done that?
Sir, I can't lie. I didn't watch because my internet. I don't know. I didn't.
What happened to your internet?
In fact, I've been having issue with it since 2 days. In fact, let's say yesterday, the whole of yesterday, and even today. Even though I don't know. If you see me cut off, don't quarrel. It's my network.
Who quarrel? No quarrel. Who quarrel? I gbọ́dọ̀ quarrel. Àṣẹ quarrel. Madam Olubumi, how can you say because of network of 1007, 1005, 2005, you now want to lose value out of 300,000?
I know.
You see, say this life, balance.
No, I won't, sir. No balance at all. I know, balance. No be my fault, sir.
Hey, auntie.
Now the place, maybe now because of the place where I did. Now I make no be so.
Yeah, but
no
really, we need to up our game. We need to up our game because the truth is, oh my God,
I know. Say it sounds somehow, but on the on this matter, I honestly, since the whole of yesterday, in fact, I had to.
Oh, you are gone again, no? Auntie Bumi, you
call
again.
My network provider.
Okay, you came and you've gone again. Okay. You really have internet issues, so I can confirm that. Huh? No wahala. Shall go and create once Glo is fumbling, move to MTN. MTN is fumbling, go to Etisalat. If you do your calculation, 1 hour of this class is worth maybe like a 20K or so. I bet you 20K, maybe like a 10K, 12K kind of. So if you miss 1 hour, you are missing money. So how much to buy internet that you are now missing? And like I always tell people, I don't know, was it Mohammed that was telling, or who was I talking to? But I told him that the beauty of what we are doing is in the talking, not in the watching. The beauty is in the talking. Because sincerely, if you ask me, I don't think there's anything I want to say that you can't find on YouTube. Madam Oluwashi, have you taken your time to know you dada? There's hardly anything you want in life you can't find there. In fact, if you want to watch video to become a medical doctor, you go find it there. It's on YouTube. So, but the point is, why do we pay for trainings when we can go and watch? In fact, do you know that there are some trainings that the full video of training is on YouTube? Yet they will tell you there's a 5K USD live class, and people still pay 5K USD. That's why the fact that there's a recording on YouTube. Why, Madam Luashi? Why do people do that?
Well, I think it's because no matter. So now the opportunity to ask questions as the training is going on is missing in a recording.
Correct.
That's one. Then the truth is, in class, somebody may just ask a question that would open the door to other conversations that probably will be outside of the concentration of the teacher when he's just going through an outline.
Correct.
In making his recording.
Correct. Very, very correct. Very, very correct. In fact, there was a concept I was discussing with my younger sister this afternoon, this morning. I said, a 5 minutes discussion with someone can alter the course of your life. Some small discussions might be so profound that it will alter so much about how you live your life. Because you're in class now. Madam Oluwaseyi is one topic Mr. Mohammed is one Major General Mohammed, businessman, the man who has made $1 million in the past 18 months. Ah, you don't believe? Okay. Maybe you should come
No,
and introduce yourself.
No, it's
no,
a
I don't
Seriously.
need to. Nobody needs to believe. If it has happened, it has happened. Whether
If you
it's
see,
mine or
he will look like a small boy. Oh. He's a big boy. He has
it
made a
shows,
million.
though. It shows the way he just turns his swivel chair around. It shows.
Hey! Oh my God. Huh? Hey, you want show? Oh, Gago Sido. Okay. Oh.
it's
Hey.
transaction. No, it's transaction.
Oh God, you.
Oh, guy, you go Sido. And
Emma worry.
then
Emma in
you have someone like Toya Jani, that is somebody who has almost 20 years experience in the IT industry. There's hardly anything you want to say about the IT industry that probably does not have one guy somewhere, one big man somewhere, one, that kind of thing. And then you have Madame Olubumi, who did not introduce her. So till now, I still do not know what she's doing. So I don't know. But if you allow me to guess, I would just think that she's a big first lady of one big governor somewhere. And then she's about to launch her book, and she's one big madam. Okay, I remember, I think she introduced herself. She was a UK in Lagos kind of person, traveling things across different continents. That's all I can remember. So the point I'm trying to make here is that this is not a class of babies. This is not a class of fresh graduates. This is a class of big people. And one unique angle that somebody can just throw in, before you know it, that unique angle is so useful. That unique angle is so, um, of much value. So that's one of the reasons why we need to do all we can to ensure we're in class. Not even for the PMP knowledge itself, but let's talk with about in sorrow, the idea in my flow, different things could come up. You could ask a question, and I won't even be the one to answer. Somebody else in class will just answer and then gives you one important tip that goes ahead to change things for one. So once again, let's try as much as possible to come to class, come early, and contribute. So, all of us, I want us to buy a new belt to tie our shokoto or to pin our skirts. We want to move. We have been playing before now. We've been playing. We've technically been playing before now. We now want into core project management. What we have been doing before now is quarter to core project management. Now what we want to do is to jump into core project, and it's just like saying they want us to discuss 1,000 pages in 5 minutes. There's so much of lessons. There are so many lessons. There are so many tips. There's so much of value in what we'll be discussing. But unfortunately, we don't have time. We won't have time to do a lot of deep study. So this going forward now, we must not joke with reading assignments. I will be giving us reading assignments because those reading assignments, like I keep telling people, as much as possible, I want to avoid teaching in class. I want discussion, case studies, template reviews. But unfortunately, our video materials could take shape to dada. So that's the reason why I'm still doing a lot of teaching in class. But all what we have this lesson, we have so much of videos on them already in the LMS. So I would be skipping some, knowing fully well that there are videos in the LMS that discuss it in more detail. And the reason why I need to skip is that if I don't skip, what you have on starting the project, doing the work. Those two, we fit discuss am in 4 months because there's so much, there's so much. So we'll just pick. I want us to dwell more on the activities, on the quizzes, on the clinical, on the condition that we will all play our role in going through the learning materials. It is very important that the learning materials are reviewed. When I say learning material now, I am referring to the video, and when I mean the video in the LMS, and I'm also referring to the student's manual that we have with you. All right, so Madam Olubumi, please open the floor. What is the name of the lesson we're about starting, Madam Olubumi?
Starting the project.
I can't hear you, Madam Olubumi.
Starting the project.
Hello, Madam Olubumi, are you there? Beautiful.
I'm here, starting the project.
Yes. Please remind us, what is the name of the lesson we just finished? The lesson we finished, what's the name of the lesson?
Creating a high-performing team.
Solid, beautiful. So now, do you be reading to us the topics, the tasks under this lesson?
Okay. Determine appropriate project methodology / methods and practices.
Okay.
2. Plan and manage scope. 3.
Okay.
Plan and manage budget and resources. 4. Plan and manage schedule. 5. Plan and manage quality of products / deliverables. 6. Integrate project planning activities. 7. Plan and manage procurement. 8. Establish project government structure.
Governance.
9. Plan and manage
establish project governance
phase
structure.
Closure. Governance structure.
Madam Olubumi, okay.
Governance.
Sorry. Okay. So in all, how many tasks do we have there?
9. 9.
Right.
Hello, sir. 9
right.
tasks.
Thank you very much. Correct. Thank you very much. Okay. So, Madam Oluwaseyi, help us with this list. This is an
so lesson objectives by topic.
Lesson. Yes.
Assess project needs, complexity, and magnitude to determine the appropriate project methodology or methods and practices.
Okay.
Then B, plan and manage the scope. C, plan and manage the budget and resources. Then plan, prepare, modify, and manage the product schedule based on methodology. Then E, plan and manage the quality of products and deliverables. F, integrate project planning activities. G, plan and manage procurement strategy. Then H, establish the project governance structure. Then I, plan and manage projects of phase closure.
Beautiful. All right.
So I have a question.
Okay.
How is this list? So apart from A, which looks like an enabler, how is this list different from the one Madam Olubumi read?
All of them are okay. Let's walk through them. If you look at all of these things now, you would see that they are all tasks. That's one thing.
Apart from
ABC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
A as well.
Integrate.
A looks like
If I
an
had the same thing,
enabler.
establish projects. No, it's a task now. A.
Assess
Una
project
ni.
needs. Determine appropriate project methodology.
Determine appropriate project
Yes,
methodology.
now.
The task or topic.
Yes, now.
The assess
It's the same
project.
as
Okay,
it's the same as determine appropriate project method and practices. They have reframed
because that one
these
looks like,
topics
you know, the way we define the
into
enablers as how of the task.
Correct.
So the first one looks
Correct.
like an enabler.
Correct. So this is
Okay.
Yes, you might say it looks like an enabler, but they are just restating. They just restated what we have here.
The task.
In this place now, they said determine appropriate project methodology, project methods, project practices. In this place now, they are now reframing that task as an objective. To say the objective of that task is to assess project needs, assess project complexity, assess project magnitude, to determine the appropriate project methodology, methods, and practices. You understand? So you could also find cases in which you have a particular task here having more than one objective when it is listed in this place. So it's possible. So that's that. So let's move on to the first topic. Let's move on to the first topic, which is determine appropriate project methodology, project methods, project practices. This is actually it's simple. It's simple. We've discussed this before. What did we discuss? We discussed the various forms. We discussed the various forms that a project or that managing a project will take. The various forms that managing the project take. Okay. We said we have the adaptive, we have the predictive, we have agile. We discussed this. Now, at what point do you determine what form of project management you will deploy? So let's discuss that now. These are the enablers for this process, for this task or topic. Let me open floor. First one says you need to assess the project need. What do you want to say project need? The contextual situation of the project. What are the attributes of the project? What are the describe the project? What's the project like? What's the complexity of the project? What's the magnitude of the project? This is relevant because it is when you know the magnitude, the complexity, and the need of the project that you'll be able to determine, okay, based on this evaluation of the need of the project, this kind of project management system or this kind of project management style is what fits it best, either as predictive, adaptive, or whatever. And the second enabler says recommend project execution strategy. Recommend project execution strategy. Before we get there, okay, recommend a project methodology or approach. Okay, I'm coming back on. Last one says use iterative incremental practices throughout the project lifecycle. Yes, let me go back to the second one. It is when you have been able to assess the nature of the project that you would now be able to recommend the execution strategy. How do you want to execute? How do you want to do funding? How do you want to do contracting? How do you want to manage your procurement? How do you want to manage vendors? What style of X do you want to use? What style of Y do you want to use? This can only be done after you have done your analysis. You have assessed the kind of the project. So as part of carrying out the task of determining the, the approach to managing the project, the methodology to choose, the method to use, the practice to use, as part of determining this, or after you have determined this, or let me say, how do I put it? In the process of determining it, you definitely would need to now recommend what kind of execution strategy you want to use. You know, there are different ways to execute. And then what kind of project methodology do you want to use? Which type of approach? Are you using predictive or adaptive, agile, or you are using hybrid? And then the last enabler here says you use iterative or incremental practices throughout the project lifecycle. Use iterative or incremental. We'll still discuss iterative incremental practices throughout the project lifecycle. One thing is clear. Iterative or incremental is very pronounced in the agile system of in the adaptive methodology or adaptive approach to managing a project. But don't forget that even in predictive, there's an element of progressive elaboration. There's an element of rolling wave planning. Hmm? So let's discuss all of this. What are our deliverables? Create survey, project business case, or needs document. Beautiful. Why do we need this? We'll discuss. Project overview statements, project implementation plan, agile practice guidelines, expert judgment meetings, focus groups, workshops, smart objectives, knowledge of classical PM and agile practice, project integration. The normal way of viewing this list or this table is that you should be able to justify, you should be able to answer why for these deliverables, for these tools. You should be able to have an idea of what these things have to do with the task at hand. For example, we said create survey. Why do we need survey? One of the reasons why we could be needing survey is, don't forget, we want to assess the magnitude of the project. We want to assess the complexity of the project. This might require us to get opinions of other people. We are looking at business case document. The business case document is like a campaign document. Oh, is it campaign or like a manifesto? Is it like, it's like a manifesto? You want to use the business case to campaign to the management that yes, this project makes sense, they should commission it or they should approve it for implementation. Another name for it is needs document. It contains the justification. Why should this project exist? You find that in the business case. Why would we need this now? We need it now because the business case contains the foundational information for why the project should even exist in the first place, for why the project is valuable, for why the project, creates, is of importance to the organization. So this document will help us when we are trying to have an understanding of the project. Project overview statements. That's just, this is one of the various sections you find in your project charter. This one gives you like a short summary of what the project is supposed to be about. Your project implementation plan. Don't forget, part of the enablers for this process or for this task is that you recommend a proper or a relevant or an appropriate implementation strategy, an appropriate execution strategy. So, in the name of coming up with an execution strategy, you are writing your project implementation plan. And then you have agile practices too. Okay, so tools and techniques, expert judgment, that essentially means talking to a consultant, talking to somebody who is ahead of you in the industry to get his or her opinion about what you want to do. Meetings, yes. In determining the appropriate project methodology, you definitely would need to meet with a lot of people to carry out what you have in your enablers. The same with focus group. Focus group is more of bringing people together to come and brainstorm extensively about something. Workshops, we know workshops. Objectives should be SMART. We'll discuss SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. Then knowledge of classical project management. Classic PM is largely predictive. Madam Olubimi, do you still remember the distinction between predictive and adaptive project management? Hello, Madam Olubumi, are you there?
Yes.
Do you still remember?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Do you still remember the distinction between
Yes,
predictive
sir.
and adaptive?
Yes.
Beautiful. So that's why you are saying that
Yes,
for you
sir.
to be able to carry out this task, it's part of the tools, part of the knowledge you need is have a good understanding of the classical PM, have a good understanding of the agile PM, and then you have project integration. We'll discuss project integration extensively. Let's just go on break quickly. We'll be back. So, Madam Olubumi, you could also revise with this slide that we have
Sir?
here. Money, you could revise with this slide that we have here. We'll discuss that shortly once we resume from our break.
Hello. Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
So I can't hear the.
It's like maybe there was a break. You know, I just came back.
Okay.
Maybe there was a break. I just came back. Mm.
This one already. Tell about my print. When you send this. Okay. It's okay. Mm. Mm. Okay.
Hello, my people.
Hello.
Hello.
Your people dey here.
Hello, sir.
All right. Welcome back. Let's continue from where we stopped. Or let's continue from where we tried starting from. We not even started yet. But wait, oh, sure people are aware that this is third week, Sha. Abi? Yes, now this should be our third week. So, what does this tell us? What it tells us is that
No yere.
there is a high
No yere.
probability. There's a high probability that we would, I would volunteer to do extra classes for us because we obviously cannot finish by next week. So next week, is that on a Wednesday now? Yes, now. Yes, this is our third week. So if this is our third week, it means this is our class number 123, 123, 1, 2. This is our 8th class. This is our 8th class. All right, let's proceed. Okay, so Madam Olubumi, are you there? Is Madam Olubumi in class?
Yes, I'm in class, but my network is misbehaving, sir. I'm in class.
All right, can you walk us through this page?
Sir?
Said, can you walk us through this page? Okay, Mr. Mohammed, can you walk us through this place, through this
Yes.
page?
We have projects, methodologies, method, and practices.
Okay.
First one is why I'm saying is because based on what I'm watching in the LMS and this new syllabus, maybe you talk more on to further guide us on how to marry the two together. So you've told us that the former syllabus is more of people and process, while the new syllabus.
The former syllabus is largely predictive, plan driven. That's what we have in the old syllabus. It's plan driven.
Okay. Then you added that it talks a lot about processes and people. Why this new?
Yes.
Why this?
Yes, correct. Continue.
Processes and people and the business environment. So let me
the other one too talks about business environment. The other one too talks about business environment. The difference is just that it talks about it in the context of a predictive project management approach. When I say predictive, what we are saying is that you want to sit down and to write a plan for everything from start to finish. You want to, it is when you are done that you want to now go and do handover and all of those things. But in the agile system, you know, you proceed in sprints. That's one major distinction between the two approaches. So all what you have in the old one is predictive, is largely predictive. Yeah, read that to us on the slide. Let's hear from you.
Okay, so firstly, we have 3 points. We have agile, predictive slash plan driven, then hybrid. Then to further
Okay.
decompose this, we can't have an English.
Oh yeah, shall proceed. Time they go.
To further decompose this, under agile, we have modern approach where team works collaboratively with the customer to determine
Okay.
the project need. Then
Okay.
we have the coordination of the customer and the team drives the project forward. Then
Okay.
predictive slash plan driven, decomposing it, we have traditional approach where the project needs, requirements, and constraints are understood and plans are developed accordingly. Then the plans
Okay.
drive the project forward. The under hybrid
Okay.
is a combined approach that uses a strategy from agile or predictive for a specific need. Then secondly, projects might switch approaches based on need, changing work requirements or circumstances.
Hmm. 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 Okay. 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 Yeah. So we discussed this before now in the previous class. So it's a good one that we revise again. I told you when we were doing it then, I said, even though these things will still be explained during the course, but I didn't feel too comfortable that we should go and start discussing the content of the course when a lot of all these terminologies they are just explaining at this level, at this time. They are just explaining it. And we've been meeting the terminology before now. That's why I said, okay, let me take my time to explain those terminologies even before we start the course. So I'm just trying to give you the reason why, despite the fact that we have discussed predictive, adaptive, and all of those things, we've discussed them before, we are still meeting them again. When we discussed them before, I was the one that said, let us discuss them. Not as if at that time it was already ripe for us to discuss it in terms of us. But for example, now imagine if we have not discussed issues of predictive, adaptive before now. We've not discussed issue of agile. We don't know retrospective. We don't know sprint review. We don't know sprint planning. We don't even know what sprint is. There's so many things we have done before this point that you won't even understand. So that's that. So business case. We explain business case and business need document. It is like a campaign document. It's like a manifesto document in which you explain in detail why you think that project is a good project. What level of value do you want to get from the project? Yeah,
I have a
that's the
question,
business.
sir.
All right, please.
Okay, so is it possible, because I've been thinking about it since we talked about the deliverables
Okay.
and the business case and the needs documents are sitting in that list.
Okay.
Is it possible that, so just wondering, should this be, because deliverable is what, by the time this is done, this is the output, so to speak. Is it possible that um this document precedes the official starting of the project? So this is what I mean, because if we look at the definition of the business case, it's more like
Okay.
the one justifying or more like the feasibility and the returns the business gets
Okay. Yes.
in the, if we, to run the project. So should it be when the project have started that that document is prepared, or should it precede the start? Because in an organization where you have a lot of initiatives, and you probably
Yes.
need to decide which one gives which is more strategic, which gives the business a higher ROI. I think
Okay.
that shortlisting is done ahead of the start of any. So it is when
Correct.
you say, okay, from all that we see, this looks like yeah, this will give this, we should go into this, then the project work starts. So I mean, yeah, how do yeah, can you please shed a little bit more light on that? Do you understand my question, sir?
Okay. Yes. If I understand your question, the question is it to be done before the project
Before,
starts
exactly.
or after the project
Yeah,
starts?
because
Business
especially
case,
looking at the needs
yes.
documents, yeah.
The business case, to the best of my understanding,
Mm,
is to be done before, because the business case is an important document that you take even into writing your charter, that you take into consideration even when you're writing your charter. Okay,
mm.
let me ask you this question. Look at this thing we are discussing.
Yes, sir.
Appropriate project management methodology.
Mm.
Are you doing this before the project or during the project?
This is sounding like before.
So don't forget that what we are discussing at the moment, you're saying starting the project. The lesson is starting the project. So definitely this issue of determining which form, which style of project management do I even want to use,
Mm.
that is largely at the very, very beginning.
Yes,
When téèyàn ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ fẹ́ gbẹnulé project, when you just want to
Ben.
get things started.
But you know what is maybe that what is causing the
Seeing it
not
on the list of
confusion.
deliverables, abi.
What's raising the conversation is because by this time you have a team.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
you have decided you want to do this project.
Okay. 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 Let me correct that. Let me
Okay.
correct that. Don't forget that originally
Mm.
these tasks or topics, they are not in any specific order according to
Sequential,
the
correct,
ECO.
correct,
You understand?
correct.
But according to the book, they have only tried to bring these tasks together under lessons. It does not mean that when lesson 1 is completed, that's when you
Mm.
go to lesson 2. That would be
Ah,
very
okay.
wrong.
Sorry, sir. Can I say I'm sorry that I
No. Ask your question.
okay, so it's not a question per se. The introduction to this particular lesson, the lesson
Okay.
introduction reads, now that you've assembled a high-performing, engaged, and empowered project team. So this is giving the impression that now that one is sorted, you are ready to get started with the planning of the project.
Okay.
And that is where we are.
And what you have said is very correct. That is in the manual, right?
Ben, sir.
But point tèmi raise ni
Mm.
wípé as much as at this point in time you want to have raised your team, but
Yes,
don't forget that the tasks under create high performing team, they are
yes, sir.
not necessarily one-off tasks. At the
Yes,
beginning of a project,
yes,
you are starting aspects of creating high performing team,
yes,
and you are also starting aspects of starting a project. It's not
yes.
like starting
One will
the
finish
tasks.
before.
It's not like the tasks under starting a project are going to wait until you have completed the tasks of creating a high performing team.
Well, I'll
Do you
again,
understand that point?
I do, and I think it's correct. But again, uh, as you're saying, I'm just remembering some of the things that we learned in under lesson 1.
Okay.
Because again, assessment of who is fit for the work that needs to be done, for example.
Can that come before even defining project management methodology?
It could happen, well, it depends. It could happen in step, or it could happen in parallel. It depends on the kind of project.
Well, of course, definitely. Nothing is cast on stone in relation to that. Of course, I agree. Yeah, I agree. For example, you are talking about building shared understanding of a project, engaging and supporting virtual teams, train team members and stakeholders. These are things that cannot be done until the project itself has
You
some
have
form of
started the
direction.
project.
Yes.
Yes.
So we are now saying
Yes,
before you
I
can even
agree.
start the project, you need to sit down and determine, okay, this project you want to do, is it predictive? Is it adaptive?
Sir, I agree. You know what I see. So starting the project. So for example, determining methodology, for instance,
Okay.
will happen. Okay, so you know what you want, because for you to determine approach, you must know what you want to do.
Yes.
Like you said earlier.
Of course.
So in a manner of speaking, there is some clarity about what the project entails.
Yes. Yes.
So which is also why I that conversation about business case and all being one of the outputs of this part was a bit confusing for me.
It was a bit confusing. Yes. You see, when we say something is a deliverable, on one side, you can see it as output. On the other side, you can see it as something. I'm trying to see how I can place it without confusing you. Is that something of core interest that we use in this process or in this task?
Okay. So
something of
in the
core
days of
interest. Okay.
so in the days of
ITTOs.
ITTOs, it would have
Yes.
sat under I, which is input, which
Correct.
is what it was under the old.
No, deliverables. Okay, let me put it this way. Do you understand that sometimes under the O's, the outputs?
No, I didn't mean old. I mean under the old syllabus.
Yes. He said it will have sat under where?
Input.
Share the deliverables, Sabi. Is that what you are saying?
No, business case and whatever.
If you ask me, my own personal opinion, I would see the business case as inputs.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like under ITTOs, it would have sat under the I, which is the input.
Correct. But for some strange reasons, here it is listed as a deliverable, meaning that there could be some circumstances or some particular projects that maybe for whatever reason it has been commissioned, and then at that point, that's when you now want to come up with a business case. I don't know.
Okay,
Even though that does not make sense to me. Let's read this again.
Okay.
Business case contains documented economic feasibility study. It is used to establish the benefits of project components. It provides a basis for authorization of further project work. From this gun, you can see that it is a pre-work document that is used to convince people of continue with work.
Running this project.
Continue this work. So my own justification for this whole discussion is that this topic of determining appropriate project management methodology, method, and practices would have to come very, very early into the project.
Exactly.
Very, very early into the project.
Okay.
Very, very early into the project.
Clear.
Very, very early into the project. that's one way I think we can marry
Mm.
both schools of
I
thoughts.
think it makes sense. Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right, so business need document, provide high-level deliverables, written prior to. Hey, look at this now. The business need document is written prior to the formal business
Uh, it just
case.
means that this precedes the business case. More like this
Correct.
is the what, the business case is the how.
Uh, Let me put it this
Sorry,
way.
the how or
This
the why.
is the summary of the what. The business
Yes.
case contains the details of the what, the why, the not the
Uh,
how, the what, the
the
why,
why. Yes, the why.
the what, the
The
why.
why. Yes, the why.
Uh,
The reason to.
Correct,
Okay.
correct, correct. Okay, let's move on. We have something here called the project implementation plan. So deliverables may be delivered all at once in the project, at the end of the project. This happens where in your predictive um, kind of managing projects, in which deliverables are coming at the end. Okay? Project outputs are delivered throughout the project. This one is in Agile. When delivering outputs, consider asking if the outputs will be number one, will it be implemented in a new business environment? Will it be implemented in an existing business environment? Will it be transitioned into a live environment? Are you talking about decommissioning or removing old systems, old processes, old materials? And then how much of training and knowledge transfer? How do you ensure it is complete and satisfactory? Why are we asking all these questions? These questions need to be asked because answers to these questions go a long way in shaping the implementation plan or the mode of implementation or the style of implementation. For example, the way you would implement a project while in the middle of a new business environment will be different from the way to be implemented in an existing business environment. Of course, you understand that if you're in an existing business environment, what it means is that you have to be super careful with your stakeholder management. There are some things that you might be able to get away with in a new environment that you might not be able to get away with in an existing environment. In an existing environment, you probably already have well set culture that you have to look for a way to maneuver around to get what you want done. So there are different ways of implementing, of executing, depending on the context in which the project is to be implemented. So that's that. Aha. Let's just nail this thing once and for all by understanding this. Who will read this to us? Mr. Toya Jani, are you there? Toya Jani, are you in class? Is Toya Jani in class? Okay, it's not. Oh, Oga Muhammad. Oga Muhammad, are you there? Wait, is anybody here?
I'm here.
Yes, we
Ah,
are here.
Ashinko. I had to call you 3 times before you answered me. Enka mi lóhùn ni.
No, I did not unmute before. Apologies.
Oh yeah, read this thing to us, abeg. Read it slowly. I
Okay.
want us to understand very well.
Okay. Assessment of project management needs, complexity, and magnitude.
Okay.
So we have methodology, best suited when, examples. So the
You need
first
to understand
methodology
these
is
things
agile.
very well, oh, because if you don't understand it, just say bye bye to like at least 15 situational questions that will come out from this. So that's why I want you to read it to us. Please proceed.
But some of these questions was in the last quiz.
Correct. Correct. You noticed. Correct. Oh,
So
yeah,
the
Oga.
changes agile methodology best suited when changes are relatively easy, waste waste is not costly. Best suited
Okay.
when complex environment where end product is not fully known and user feedback is very valuable. Examples: software project or project based on intellectual property and research. Okay, na complete person. Predictive slash plan driven best suited when changes are expensive due to scrap and waste. Readability and coordinated timing is important. Examples: construction
Predictable
project or
and
project.
coordinated timing is important. Beautiful. Please proceed.
Example of predictive slash plan driven methodology are construction projects or projects that have many physical assets or have similar projects that has been completed in the past. Under iterative methodology is best suited when dynamic requirements and activity are repeated until they are deemed correct. Examples: project where learning and correction is expected to eventually get to the ideal solution. Incremental methodology best suited when dynamic requirements as well as frequent small deliverables. Then also best suited
Frequent
when
small deliveries, not deliverables.
okay, okay, thanks for that insight. Then incremental also best suited when speed to deliver small increment is a major goal. Example example of incremental methodology: project where customer or business is wanting or expecting to see output or partial output early and often. Hybrid: these are some cost to changes. There are some cost to changes. Stakeholders are interested in another method but not comfortable to fully adopt one method. Examples: projects with a mix of resources and experience level or projects seeking or willing to learn new methods or techniques.
Hmm. 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 I don't know how much
I
of
need
these things you
example
understand. You said
I
what?
need example for this iterative methodology. I need a clear cut example.
One thing that makes iterative is the fact that you are really not much of breaking things down. What you want to do, you want to keep doing it and doing it and doing it until you get it right. It's largely around iterating around the same set of stuffs until you get it right. Incremental is like you want to break what you want to do into tiny bits of work, and you want to be doing those tiny bits. Once you do that one, you move to the next tiny bits, move to the next tiny bits, move to the next tiny bits. Agile is a combination of both iterative and incremental. You get that, Mr. Mohammed? Agile is iterative. Agile is an iterative way of producing incremental changes. Do you get that? It's an iterative way of producing incremental changes. So that's that. Do we have questions? Toya Jani has been, I don't know. He said is in a noisy place. Maybe he's still there. Madam Olubumi, oh God.
I think it's better where I am now. So I have. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear your voice. Maybe not you.
Okay, so you have any
Okay.
question for me?
No, I just want to confirm because this slide, this is 20 questions already in this slide. This slide is 20 questions or 15, between 15 and 20 questions. This slide, Lasson. PMI can be very wicked in the way they can twist questions around these concepts. Because you need to understand the soul of these concepts. You need to understand them very well. They can give you scenarios from which you are supposed to infer which is which. What exactly is the methodology that is being used in this project? That's why you need to understand these things. There are some projects, there are some questions that only one keyword is what will give you the hints on what this thing is. That's why you need to understand all the keywords on this page. You need to understand them very well. So, for example, Mr. Mohammed, are you there?
I'm here.
If I give you a project now, if I describe a project to you, and I told you that as part of that project, it is exceedingly undesirable that there should be wastes on the project. Which methodology would you suggest?
It's predictive / plan driven.
Why?
Because construction projects, because you can get similar projects and use as templates.
You get the right. You got the right answer, but your justification is wrong. The fact that you can get an existing project to benchmark against is not what makes it plan driven. That's not what makes it predictive.
Because changes are expensive due to waste. Like, for example, imagine doing a foundation and you didn't do a soil test to know that you are supposed to do 6 feet. You went ahead and did 3 feet. That alone has rubbish the entire project. So I don't become electric gadgets.
Okay.
And I have a similar experience with one of our estates in Lagos.
Okay. So the point I'm trying to raise is that you need to understand the attributes of each of these methodologies. So once you look at the question,
yes, they are right.
You can see some keywords in one direction. They will usually give you a clue. Sometimes it might be very obvious. Sometimes it might just be one small word somewhere in the middle of the sentence. So you have to be able to, read between the lines. Mr. Mohammed, let me say something.
Yes, unlike a software project, where in fact you can even have a dev server to test run things, and with that you can control things, and you can do it module by module if your software architecture is okay. Unlike construction projects, that once the foundation has it, there is no way you can patch it, no backup. So
no backup. Correct. Madam Olubumi, how far?
It's very far. It's very far.
Here you come and use the internet in my office. Oh my God.
I wish.
Which network do they use? Are you using Bumitel network?
It's MTN. No, though I'm not in my house. I left home since yesterday, but this MTN has not been fed at all.
You know, do your risk analysis well.
Hello?
So don't mitigate this threat.
Hello?
Hello, can hear you. Oh, what is law? Guy.
PMP requires 10x
Anyway.
input.
Hello?
Very 400 decks output. Hello.
Hello?
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you again. All right. Oh, good. We believe that we don't be
I don't
like
pick WhatsApp call from Nigeria.
you don't do what?
I don't pick WhatsApp. I don't pick WhatsApp call from Nigerian clients, but from clients in diaspora, I pick their WhatsApp call.
Why?
Because most people have bad network. Because most Nigerians have bad network.
Correct. Well, that's the simple truth. You go, they call, they say, call. You know? Anyway, let's proceed. Hey, we have not even started today's class. We are about starting. I know I'm very fine. Okay, so progressive elaboration. You remind us what's progressive elaboration. At least you should be able to know it very, very well. Remind us what is progressive elaboration.
So that's what we have on the. You want me to read it?
If you want to read. If you want to say. Which one?
The iterative process of increasing the level of detail in a project management plan as greater amounts of information and more accurate estimates become available. So progressive elaboration, to add to this, happens. So most times when projects start, not all that should be known is known, but as the project progresses, more details are discovered, more it opens up the more. So that concept is becoming progressively elaborated. So that is.
Auntie, you are muted.
Hello,
you are back now.
Oh yeah, sorry, it was a call that was coming in.
Okay. Anyway, you have tried. You have tried. If you look at this image on the screen now, you can see that this is like they are trying to depict what they mean. At this level, empty paper. At this level, 3 lines. At this level, how many lines here now? It's six lines. At this level, 12 lines. Then finally, you have a book. You can't see my screen. Open your eyes.
Oh, I can.
You see.
I can see it now.
Open your eyes. You will see how.
It's my Zoom.
Okay.
It's my Zoom setting.
So just like we know already, different types of life cycles: predictive, adaptive, and hybrid. Predictive. So under adaptive, we have iterative, we have incremental, and we have agility. Okay.
A quick clarification to make. So life cycles and methodologies in this case, because it's the same. How do you put it? Can it be used interchangeably?
Yeah,
or
like different sides
of the same.
The contexts are different, but they
different.
mean the same thing.
The same. Okay, clear.
The contexts are different, but they mean the same thing. When you say life cycle, you are describing start to finish. How does the project progress?
Okay.
If you are saying methodology, I think it's just grammar. If you are saying methodology, is
the how?
Methodology, kind of, yes, like the how. So that's that. Okay, so yeah, Mr. Mohammed, we are back to you now. I read this slide. Quickly, before we go break again.
Wait. Predictive life cycles. Predictive life cycle is a form of project life cycle in which the project scope, time, cost are determined in the early phases of the life cycle.
In the early phases, there's some good amount of clarity that you can plan so much about the project from the beginning. Beautiful. Proceed, please. Tell us the characteristics.
Hey, school fees. Okay. Characteristics. Fixed requirements.
Okay. What do we mean by fixed requirements? What do we mean by fixed requirements?
Because it's predictive, so we already know the requirements.
Requirements which is that to some extent it's not change. It's not convenient with change. Unlike
it's not what you need feedback for. It's not like it's like we want to do 2-bedroom flat. 2-bedroom like 2-bedroom finish. Like agile, where somebody can change API tomorrow and scatter all your project. Okay, so characteristics, fixed requirements, activities performed once per project, single delivery, goal, manage cost. Okay.
In predictive, your own is go, boom, yeah, go there. And then you are going, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. When you say activities performed once per project, who can explain? Activities are performed once per project. Who can explain?
Like in the beginning, when you were explaining to us that in Agile, we can have like 5 different sprints, and we do the same activity in the different sprints. But when it comes to predictive, once we do some things in a particular milestone, we don't do it again in the next milestone. That is my own explanation. Like, for example,
you know it, but you're not explaining it well. Look at it this way. Let us use a typical software development life cycle. You have, okay, let us alienate our Madam Oluwaseyi. Training. So let's use an example that you can play with. Project management process group, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling and closing. Now, ordinarily, in predictive, you initiate, you plan, you execute, you do monitoring and controlling, and then you close, and then you are done. But in Agile, it's like you are doing all of those things for each sprint. You are doing all of those things for each sprint. That's why you realize that each sprint has its own sprint planning. What are you doing in sprint planning? You are planning. At the end of each sprint, you have retrospective, you have sprint review. So each sprint has these things. But in predictive, no. If you do activity A you do all of activity A, then you do all of activity B, down, down, down. But in agile, in one sprint, you do small A, you can do small B, small C, small D. Then you produce something you can show to the customer. Then you show to the customer, get feedback, move to sprint 2. Then you do more of A, more of B, more of C, more of D. Then you produce another thing of more detail than the previous one. Then you show to the customer, get feedback, go to sprint 3. Then more of A, more of B, more of C, more of D. I don't. Do we get that now? Madam Rukumi, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir.
Have you been following? Did you have the explanation we just gave?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Toya Jani, are you with us? Yeah, please read this out to us quickly. Read to us, Oga. Mr. Toya Jani, can you read to us? No, you cannot. Madam Oluwaseyi, please proceed.
Hello?
I want to stretch. I want to go on break now. I beg. Oh yeah.
Okay. You want me to read, right? Adaptive.
Oh yeah, Oga. Yeah, still ask the question.
We have dynamic requirements.
Start from
activity.
Something on top now, Oga. The whole slide, Anikeka.
Okay. See the disadvantage of using a phone now. You will tell you how to. Okay. Iterative life cycle.
Okay.
A project life cycle where the project scope is generally determined early in the project life cycle. But time and cost estimates are routinely modified as the project team's understanding of the product increases. So types, adaptive, iterative, characteristics, dynamic requirements, activity repeated until correct, single delivery, goal correct, goal is correct solution.
Correct. Okay, so before we go, I read this one to us.
Incremental life cycle. An adaptive project life cycle in which the deliverable is produced through a series of iterations that successively add functionality within a predetermined time frame. The deliverable contains the necessary and sufficient capacity to be considered complete only after final. Okay. Capability to be considered complete only after the final iteration. So we have type is adaptive, the iterative type. We have dynamic requirements under characteristics. We also have activities repeated until correct. Single delivery. Goal is correct solution. So for incremental, we have dynamic requirements, activities performed once per increment, frequent small deliveries. Goal here is speed.
Do you understand, Mr. Toyin?
Yes, but I've been from some of the, I think maybe, don't let me act like I've been reading much, but maybe from one of the questions sent on the quiz made me read a little about this, and I was not able to clearly differentiate the difference between the two.
Okay. Between what and what?
I'm still unable to do that. Between the iterative type and incremental.
It's because you were not in class.
So the only difference I see here, sorry?
Okay. Proceed.
Yeah, the only difference that is very clear here is the goal. As for iterative, it's correct solution. For incremental, wants speed. Dynamic requirements appears here and there. Activities repeated until correct. Activity performed once per increment. I mean, activities performed once per increment. How do I differentiate that really from activities repeated until correct?
See, look at it this way. Mr. Toye, when you were not talking, you thought you were listening. Now you were not, it shows that you were not listening then. What we are saying is what we say. And it is the fact that iterative is used when what you want to do is clear. And then how you will do it is not clear. But you want to keep doing it. You want to keep doing it. You want to keep doing it until you get it right. You want to keep doing the same set of things until you get it right.
Can we have an example of this iterative?
Okay. For example, if I give you an assignment to solve 5 questions. If I give an assignment to solve 5 questions, and then Mr. Mohammed solves it, gets 2/5. I mark it and I don't tell him the answer, I just tell him the score. Okay, you got 2/5. Go back and do it again. He comes back to me, he still gets 2/5. Okay, go back and do it again. He comes back to me, he gets 3/5. I said, go back and do it again. He comes back to me, he gets 4/5. I said, go back and do it again. Until the 6th time he comes to me, he now gets everything correctly, 5/5. And I'll say, yes, you have tried. That's iterative. You are iterating around the same set of work. That's different from incremental. Incremental in this case will be like, I'm first of all starting with 3 questions. Go and solve 3 questions. Then when you are done, you come back, I give you 2 more questions. And then when you are done, you come back, I give you 2 more questions. Incremental is saying, okay, from where you are today to where you want to go to, you are only moving in tiny bits of increments. So that's why you say frequent small deliveries. Or you just, you can just do one small tiny increment, boom, and then you want to go and deliver to clients. This is the new status of what you are working on. Maybe all you changed was you just fixed, you just put an about us page. That's all that has changed in the web project. Before it was not there. Now it's there. We have to go for presentation. About us page is now there. You understand? About us page is now there. And then maybe the next increment, you want to put portfolio, don't put it there. So frequent small deliveries. So that's incremental. Okay.
So I think it's correct for we software guys. If you are using a lean model, it's correct to say we are using an adaptive life cycle rather than shouting agile up and
down. Agile is adaptive. You understand? If you say agile, you are right. If you say adaptive, you're also right. But it's just that adaptive is wider than agile. There are many things that come under adaptive that are not agile.
Well, I think it is interwoven because
can you say agile is hybrid?
I think
hybrid again. No.
I see the connection here. Looking at the
what they say now, it says combines iterative repetition of activities with incremental deliveries. So I'm saying
but hybrid is combination of adaptive and predictive. For example, you can work
I
on a
understand in
project.
their own terminology.
Yes, that's the hybrid. The hybrid we are referring to is the hybrid of predictive and adaptive. Combining iterative and incremental is not what we mean by hybrid. Mr. Mohammed, you were saying something.
Okay. Yes, he has said the same thing. And I learned something like that also in my beginning of my software journey, though not formal. So it's okay. Fantastic, no problem. Only that we are going to post as if we are using predictive, agile. We don't go and wait for the developers for agile. We give that room in case they want to mess us up. No problem.
Okay. All right, Mr. Toyajani, do you now see the flow for all of them? Mr. Toyajani, are you there?
Yes.
Can you see the flow for hybrid?
Yeah.
Madam Oluwashe, are you there? Is Madam Oluwashe in class?
I'm just trying to.
Okay.
You
said what?
Now, you can give us this slide. It makes sense. So, even though we have it here, but this is always like when you are going for an exam. You now look at your colleague jotting. Now you jot bullets out.
Oga Pakwe. Madam Oluwashe, I have a question for you. Are you there? She has gone to sleep.
I'm here.
Can you people know that this is 9:30? We have done 2 hours. We have done 15 slides in 2 hours. This is not scalable. This is not scalable. Hey. Well, no problem. You said what?
I'm launching 2 more software this year. Let's go.
Hey, we got party class, Abi. Come on, Thank you. But you know one thing, I intentionally took my time for this task because this is fundamental. You need to understand it. The distinction between iterative and incremental took me a long time before even myself I understood. Because each time I kept looking at it, they were looking like the same thing. Okay, Madam Oluwashe, the question I have for you, are you there?
I'm here, sir.
In 2-3 sentences, can you take me around the goal for all these 5 methodologies on this page? Can you just take me around the goal so that I can know, okay, a goal. How are they interrelated? How do they flow back into one another? I can't hear you. I only know you are talking. What you're saying,
I'll just read.
Hey, but your voice is low.
Is it better?
No, it's not.
Is it better, sir?
It's not.
What is it?
Okay.
I did not do anything. I don't know why it's. Okay.
You are sounding distant. The same way Muhammad used to sound distant in class.
Is it better?
It's gradually getting better.
Okay. So, for predictive.
We can't see your voice, so.
For predictive, the goal is to manage costs.
Okay.
For adaptive, okay, so iterative, the goal is to have a correct solution.
Justify. This is a dictate.
Justify.
Auntie, you want to sleep?
No, me soon, Bobby was best.
Boy, Joe. Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, come out and come back. Come out and come back.
Yeah. Okay.
Madam Olúbùnmi gan títẹ́lẹ̀tì wọn nídìí wáàsí ó ti gba wáàsí and it's okay now. Àbí Madam Olúbùnmi àbí ló fi sọ. Okay.
This is making sense.
Oh yeah, me I want sleep. Oh yeah, more break, more go break, more go break. Oh yeah, break. 5 how many minutes? I want stretch. Oh yeah, no go break. Oh yeah, let me leave this screen. I want all of us to look at it very well. And it's not just about.
Are we on break?
Wait, your gosh, you know the this is waiting the thing.
Okay.
Look at this slide. Our 10 minutes break.
Okay.
Is a walking break. You're supposed to look at it. You must like da. You must be able to replicate it in your brain, replicate it in your imagination, and justify for every single line.
Questions.
You should be able to justify. For example, close your eyes, open, pick one line. Adaptive, iterative, dynamic requirements. What does it mean? You should know the answer. Pick another line. Incremental, frequent small deliveries. You should be able to explain. Pick another line. Agile, the goal is customer value. You should be able to explain. How is the goal in agile? How is the customer value? You pick another line, you come up. Predictive, single delivery. You must be able to explain. What do you mean by single delivery under predictive? So what I will do is, when we resume from break, I will randomly call all of us one by one to come and justify. I will pick any line randomly. I will ask us to justify. So thank you very much. Bye-bye. We meet in between 5 and 10 minutes, depending on when I finish my stretching. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Alpha.
Oh, yeah.
Now you are come again.
I'm sure they're around.
Interesting shot. Interesting form of being sure.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I guess we just have to continue. We cannot wait. We've barely done one process. I be one one what's in the column? One task, one topic. So let us proceed into the next topic, which is to plan and manage scope. Plan and manage scope. Plan and manage scope. Okay. Madam Olubumi, are you with us? Is Madam Olubumi with us in this class?
Yes, sir. I just joined, sir. Why network, sir?
Okay. Open your WhatsApp. Go to the group. There's
Okay,
something
sir.
waiting for you there.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
Yes, sir.
What do you see there?
I've seen it, sir.
What do
I
you
can
see?
see process. It's like a table, sir.
Okay, describe the table. Describe the table.
The table has process and knowledge areas, sir. Process group and knowledge areas, sir.
Okay. Okay. So, briefly, can you kindly go to the row for scope? What do you see there on the under the row for scope?
For scope, under planning,
Okay.
you have plan scope management, collect requirements,
Okay.
define scope, create WBS.
Okay. What else?
And then you have something under M&C. Validate scope and then control scope. That's all.
Thank you very, very much. Madam Oluwashe, are you there?
Yes, sir.
You remember now? Give us the bridge.
I remember.
Yeah.
Sir?
What's the bridge between these processes?
The bridge.
Yeah. Give
I'm
us
not
the
sure.
flow. The flow.
For which one? For scope?
Yes.
Okay, so
Please, I hope we're all paying attention. No, please pay attention. I need your attention for the next 3 minutes. Madam Oluwaseyi wants to give us the flow between the
okay,
processes.
so the flow for manage scope starts with planning under the process group planning with plan scope management. So plan scope management followed by collect requirements.
Auntie,
Sir?
we didn't ask you to dictate to us. Take notes.
I'm not dictating, I'm just starting. Plan scope management. So this how do I put it now? This process This process involves how the planning for how scope will be managed for the project, and it will have processes like collecting requirements, how to collect requirements, how to define the scope of the project, how to create WBS, how to validate scope, how to control scope.
We can't hear you again, Madam Oluwaseyi.
I can't hear myself. I've stopped.
Nitako.
Amio.
Oh yeah, now Oluwaseyi represent now.
You know that this one has never been my favorite, you know. This particular one has never been my favorite.
Ẹ fi favourite sílẹ̀, ẹ̀sùn tó wà lọ́kàn, ẹ fi favourite sílẹ̀.
So
You should be able to give us one sentence for every process there now.
So okay, so one sentence. Okay, so on plan scope management. So in this process, the planning for how scope will be managed for the project is done. And all the other processes that are under it will be captured under plan, how to plan scope, because they are the execution of the planning of scope. And it starts first of all with collecting requirements. These requirements are collected from major stakeholders, or rather from stakeholders generally. Requirements concerning the project deliverable or the project work itself are collected, and
what
prepared.
Is a requirement?
So a requirement is how do I put it? As the name implies, it's expectation for the project deliverable or the work of the project.
Expectation
by the stakeholder of the project deliverable or the work of the project.
Correct. Simply put, a requirement is I want this.
Yes.
Do it like this. Make it this color. Change this. Bend this place. Change the direction.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Madam Oluwaseyi, you are also managing a requirement in that place now. I can see you are saying sorry.
I am.
Yes.
I am.
Requirement kan nìyẹn náà. Àǹtí látàárọ̀ ẹ gbé mi kalẹ̀ ni ó tún da lẹ́tẹ̀ ẹ̀kẹ́ wá wà pẹ̀lú mi. Ẹ tún lọ sọ English tó mi kan wájú kọ̀ǹpútà.
Wọ́n tún lọ ń rojọ́.
Sorry. No wahala, no wahala. I will release you in 45 minutes time.
Management.
Yes, stakeholder management ni bó ṣe rí nìyẹn. Okay, so madam, you've been able to tell us what collect requirement is. Please proceed from there.
So from okay, I should stop.
Proceed.
Okay. So from collect requirements, so that already shows the expectation of the stakeholders, and those expectations are then refined to as a definition of the scope. So, for example, the stakeholder wants so for example, I want it this deep, I want it this high, I want this color, I want this texture. Already is giving direction to the scope, is showing what the project's work must entail for that project. So that helps to define the next process, which is what is referred as definition of scope for the project. So what is the width? What is the depth? How high? Then from the scope that is defined, we create, it's called work breakdown structure. So that we already see the extent of work that needs to be done, and then we are able to categorize. So we are able to categorize the work of the projects into phases by activity. So more like, this is what needs okay, so this is the depth. So from that particular work package, you can, is that the right word? But from what I mean is from that, you can break it down up onto the minutest of activities.
I'm following.
So as, sorry?
I said I'm following.
So as, yeah, so up on, it's called, I think the smallest is called work package or activity. So so that is
not activity,
that collection of, is work package, sorry. So that's collection of all the work that needs to be done is a work breakdown structure, still related to the scope that came from the requirements from the stakeholders.
Okay.
So managing scope does not have any process under executing, but for under monitoring and control, there is validating scope. And this validation of scope validation is is more like checking the intermediate deliverable with the stakeholders to be sure that what we have been able to capture as a solution is what was required.
Yeah.
And then control scope is more like ensuring that there is no deviation in terms of quality. I'm not sure if that's the right word to use, but yeah, well, maybe not quality. Yeah, no scope creep, scope creep.
Thank you very much, Madam Oluwaseyi. Will give us our reading assignment or watching assignment.
Okay.
Our watching assignment for our next class is, today is Friday. Next class is on Sunday. Yes. So I know the likes of Mr. Muhammad would have gone past this stage already. But for every other person in class, they're supposed to watch integration management and scope management. Again, it's very, very important that we go and watch those two modules where integration management and scope management is being discussed. Not because of the PMP exam, but because it will give us foundational understanding of what is in the PMP exam. Because now you have topic saying plan and manage scope. There's so much involved in scope management that is not discussed on this slide. There's so much involved that is not discussed here. So and you need to understand those things, or else you just be picking terminologies from the slide and you don't understand what it means. So that's why I usually like to still refer us back to the table. I mean the process table when we are discussing these things. Still take us back. After all, the PMP exam is still based on PMBOK 6. PMBOK 7 is not out yet, so we can't say the old one is totally out of place. All right, let's go to our enablers. Mr. Muhammad, are you there? Is Mr. Muhammad with us?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm aware that you have read, you have watched scope management. Is that correct?
Yes, I watched it.
I mean, in the videos in the LMS,
Yes.
you have watched scope management. Have
Yes, I
you?
watched it.
You cannot talk.
Yes. Yes, I've watched it.
Beautiful. Uh, can you open the image in the group and justify for us? Oh yeah, Oga, quickly.
Okay. I'm trying to refresh my WhatsApp. Uh, my WhatsApp is loading.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, my message are dropping.
Okay, you know what
Apologies.
then? Because of time, let's just proceed. I want to believe that you listen to what Madam Oluwaseyi mentioned. But walk us through these
Yeah.
enablers quickly, please.
Okay. Enablers under plan and scope management. One, determine and prioritize requirements. Break down scope and define acceptance criteria. That's the definition of done. Build work packages / do some work.
Okay.
Monitor, prioritize, and validate scope.
But yeah, justify one by one quickly.
Mm, okay. Of course, when it comes to planning and of scope and managing of the scope itself, the first step is for us to determine what we actually need in the project. Once we determine it, then the next level is to look at when will those requirements be needed, because sometimes output of B can be the resource needed by C, and that is
Oga,
why the
you're
prioritization
not
is
talking to the
important,
slide though.
and also allocation of.
You're not
You
talking
say
to
I
the
should
slide.
explain. I'm not talking to this. I don't understand though.
What I mean is,
You say
I'm
I
hearing
should
you saying
justify the enablers.
you are saying some things that are not related to what is on the slide.
Okay. Determine and prioritize requirements that will determine the requirements needed. After determining it, they will prioritize it in the
What's
order
a
of
requirement?
how
What's a requirement?
it is being needed.
What's a requirement?
That requirement is the deliverables.
Wrong, sir.
Deliverables,
Wrong.
features.
That's closer.
User story.
I'm getting closer.
I said user story. User story.
Yes, that's correct.
That is defining what must be done. Defining what must be done and prioritizing
Correct.
what must be done.
Why are we
Secondly,
prioritizing?
break down and but we are prioritizing what must be done in the order of how
Why?
they should be done. Why we are doing that is to make sure that it is congruent, so that we don't do B before A, we don't do B after D, based on how they are connected.
Okay, proceed, please.
Then break down scope and define acceptance criteria. Because the first level for us is to determine what we need to do. Then now we now need to further decompose it so that we drill down into details of, like, we have top level, then we have deeper digging of what we actually want to do, like using 80-20. Then divine acceptance criteria based on the expectation of definition of done. Just like saying, draw fish, what type of build your house, what type of house are you building? Is it a duplex? So that is very critical, and that's why we need to define the acceptance criteria. Then build work package / do some work. Having determined what needs to be done, having prioritized what we need to do, then the next level is for us to build work packages. That is the work clinical schedule. They will do some of the work. Then as the project evolves or as the project continues, we continue to monitor. Depending on the type of project life cycle we are using, we monitor. Then we prioritize, maybe based on user feedback if it is an agile-oriented project. Then we also validate scope, and validation of scope also has to do with feedback from the customer. If we are using a sprint-oriented stuff, feedback from the customer, feedback from the stakeholder is also like the customer and all the other concerned stakeholder, or looking at other external factor, looking at the pest that affects projects, whatever, that affects the project. That is political, economical factors that affect a project. Thank you.
Okay. Validate scope. What does validate scope mean?
A validate scope is matching that the scope actually connects with the project, with the work that needs to be done, vis-a-vis the expectation of the stakeholders.
Okay. That's correct. That's correct. Okay. Madam Luashe, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
You'll
be all right.
I want sleep.
Okay, I can see I've opened the process group now. What do you want me to do with the process group?
I wanted you to give us the flow for the processes on that scope management. But
okay. 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 Captured.
Oh, girl. I beg. Let's stop today's class at this point so that we know that we have broken a record. We only did 18 slides. Okay. All right, let me just take any last minute question before we go and sleep. Any question? All right. Any question? No talk now. Mr. Mama, you get question?
Before now, in fact, in some of my talk on my YouTube, there's a way I used to look at PMP before now. And because I used to look at PMP more from the predictive angle,
Okay.
and now use some projects to do examples, because now I'm in the agile sector, and looking at it that in a normal organization, my own belief is that in a normal organization, where we have a lot of structure, because me, I'm not structured before. It is now that we started learning, building, and even creating structures for companies as a consultant. I used to think this model of looking at time, scope, and cost. It happens in a lot of projects that what determines the success of a project is that does it meet, are you able to meet up with budget? Are you able to meet up with the timeline? Not actually looking at the success of the project. But with this, let me say, this innovation or this upgrade to PMP, it has further encapsulates the agile method. So it makes it much more sweeter. And I believe organizations, because while we are learning this thing, it's actually to cause a change. Most organizations will start focusing more on traction, getting of traction. And even at that, they will still need to be able to manage their costs and do it on time. It's like balancing things out. So it's a very interesting journey, and it makes a lot of sense that we, let me call it IT guys, will not be too, will not think that PMP is rubbish. Let me just put it that way. That it's not like planning, budgeting, so you are going to do it in 3 months. But with this approach of hybrid, it makes a lot of sense that it will now make it a win-win for everybody. Either you're an agile guy that learns PMP, you're able to have a better structured project and put more system in place. And of course, even looking at the environment now, the changes that happened in the last 40 years and what happened in the last 4 years is much more deeper, which means everything is becoming more of agile than what is going on before. Even when we say construction is predictive, okay, it's predictive. What about marketing of the construction? Because economic change is now much rapid than what we had before. So it makes a lot of sense. And I believe as we go deeper in this journey, I'll further connect a lot of dots that have not been able to connect. And more importantly, we can cause a change in society, not just certification or the knowledge, but actually implementing the knowledge to cause a change and create more value, of course, make more cash. So thanks for the special inputs and your outstanding approach. It's really a grandma model.
Hello.
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 Yeah, I'm
Stop.
here now.
Here.
Okay, we are also here.
Okay. So, Mr. Mohammed, thank you very much. I think I've had all the interesting stuff you have talked about. We'll keep trying to move, we'll keep trying to get better. Why I'm stopping, it's not like I cannot continue. And all those things, formatting and some way. The reality is that what we want to discuss is not what I want to rush. Okay. That's the reality. Because you're managing a project stems directly from your managing what you want to do on the project. So, and that's the reason why I said, okay, let me stop at this point. Everybody go back to the LMS. Go and watch integration management. Go and watch scope management. If you do so, it will be easy for me to be able to go through the content of this task. Because once you have watched, it's so easy. A lot of these terminologies will be same, they will be familiar. It's easy for me if I want to go through this thing now. In 10 minutes, I will go through all the slides. I don't want us to rush it. Mr. Toya Jani, are you there? Anyway, on this note, I want to thank you for coming.
Thank
Madam
you, sir.
Oluwaseyi, you did there.
Sir, I'm here. I'm here, sir.
Maybe you said that you're supposed to see us behind the curtain. We'll not see you again.
Sure. Morobi. Okay. I'll call you tomorrow. I saw some documents you sent, so I forwarded it, but I still had, I'll call you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Good night.
Yeah. Good night, sir.